We're going to start off the conversation with the Purdue Boilermakers. Their 2021 season, they were 18-10, 13-6 in the Big Ten. They were fourth. They were seventh in the Big Ten in scoring offense, fourth in the Big Ten in points allowed. In the Big Ten tournament, they lost 87-78 to Ohio State in overtime in the Big Ten tournament quarterfinals. And then, of course, they lost in the NCAA tournament 78-69 to North Texas in the first round. This season, they are the preseason number 7 team. They're one of 2 Big Ten teams in the top 10. They are also joined up there by number 6, Michigan. Their notable returnee is forward Trayvon Williams. He averaged 16 points a game last season, 9 rebounds. He led the Boilers in both categories. He's in the top 10 in the Big Ten in both categories as well. Second in the Big Ten in rebounds. They do get Sasha Stefanovic back as well, 40% from three-point range in 2020. That led the team. And then the big man on defense, Eric Hunter Jr., 26 steals last season. Notable matchups in the non-conference schedule. They play number 19 North Carolina and number 20 Florida State. Those are both in Mackey, which is nice. And then the conference, they play number 6.
North Carolina is not in Mackey. North Carolina is at the Mohegan Sun.
Well, there you go. And then, well, you don't. I mean, so not in Chapel Hill.
It's
so
Villanova. Don't forget about. They'll either play Tennessee or Villanova in that as well.
I gotcha. So that's
their tournament or their
yeah,
invitation that they're playing in. And just to kind of add into the notable returnees, I wouldn't really have necessarily put Sasha Stefanovic and Eric Hunter. The guys that you really got to keep an eye on, Trayvon Williams, obviously, he's been named a preseason All-American on several lists. Also look out for guard Jaden Ivy, who is popping up in a lot of in the top 10 of a lot of NBA mock drafts for this upcoming season. Jaden Ivy had an outstanding offseason representing Team USA at the under 19 World Championships. The U.S. took home gold. He was a teammate with Purdue freshman Caleb First from Fort Wayne, Indiana, who was Indiana's Mr. Basketball. And the other is sophomore center Zach Edey, the big 7'4" Canadian giant. He was on Team Canada in the same championships and made the all-tournament team as well. Those are 3 players that, especially Ivy and Edey, look to really command the floor for Purdue. And honestly, what a lot of Purdue fans are hearing is don't be a bit surprised if the preseason All-American Trayvon Williams is actually coming off the bench and Zach Edey gets the start at the beginning of the season. Apparently, Zach Edey is tearing it up in team scrimmages and practice and is looking like he could supplant or he could knock out Trayvon Williams for the starting spot. Now, obviously, that may not last too long. Who knows? Matt Painter early on likes to work with his lineups. So, but yeah, definitely a lot. I mean, basically this team returns everybody from last year. They did not lose a single person.
Well, because I remember last year we talked about like they had a big ceiling, but also they had like a big floor as well. Like they could be like not in the tournament at all. They could be in the tournament, but not very good. Like there was a lot of different ways that you could have gone with last season. And also, don't worry, guys. I know B. Scott apparently doesn't care about the leader in 3-point shooting or the leader in steals, but I care. I care about.
No. The two you named are very significant in if Purdue wants to win a Big Ten championship and potentially advance to a Final Four or play for a national championship. You need Sasha Stefanovic to be hitting on his marks from outside the arc. When Sasha Stefanovic is on, the whole team plays a lot looser because it really opens up the floor. When Eric Hunter is on defense, it makes the team a whole ton better. And a lot of players need to learn to play up to the tempo and style of defense that Eric Hunter plays. So those 2 players are crucial for the Boilermakers, obviously. Now it's just the bigger.
Well, you said forget about them. You said they don't exist.
No, I didn't say forget.
I know.
I didn't say forget. I said I can't believe you overlooked the two biggest names outside of Trayvon Williams and Jaden Ivy and Zach Edey. Those are the two players that everybody's talking about, along with Trayvon Williams. But to really make the Boilermakers move this year, you need to have top-notch shooting from Stefanovic, and you need to have top-notch defense from Eric Hunter, a little good shooting from him as well, because, hey, he was one of the best shooters in the state of Indiana in high school at Tinley Prep, and that wouldn't hurt at all either. So it basically – the situation Purdue's in this year is a situation they've never been in before. They basically have like 11 guys that can legitimately play. That's the problem for them. And that's it. Most people are like, well, how is that a problem? How is having too many good players a problem? Well, there's not enough minutes to go around. Right. And if you start trying to work the minutes properly, and then all of a sudden somebody that's in a rhythm has to get pulled out, or, it's a tough situation, honestly, to be in, but it's one that they've never really been in before, and it's a great problem to have.
Right. Yeah, they have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to talent. And that's the question. We're going to do a hot or cold for each team that we talk about tonight, save for the group of 5 schools. So the question for Purdue is, hot or cold, this season is a disappointment if Purdue doesn't make the Sweet 16. And for me, that is a hot take, especially after the disappointment of last season. Now, like I said, I mean, when I say disappointment, I mean just losing to North Texas. Obviously, like I said, their season was very, we don't know what they're going to be. So the fact that they made the tournament, the fact that they were a very good team last year, I think even more adds to the expectations for this coming season, as far as where they could end up being. And looking back at the last 5 seasons, which which excludes 2019 to 20 because there was no NCAA tournament. In 2016, they finished 4th in the Big Ten. That was the year they lost to Arkansas Little Rock. In 2017, they were the Big Ten regular season champions. They lost to Kansas in the Sweet 16. In 2018, they finished 2nd in the Big Ten, lost to Texas Tech in the Sweet 16. In 2019, they finished 2nd in the Big Ten, lost the Elite Eight to Virginia, and then in 2021, they finished 2nd in the Big Ten regular season.
Nope.
Okay. Anyway,
maybe they tied. I think they tied with Michigan for the Big Ten championship. Maybe that's what they considered 2nd, but they got the trophy because they clinched it at Northwestern.
Yeah. And then in 2021, they finished 4th in the Big Ten, and they were upset by North Texas. So, I mean, basically, they're it's a team that the last 5 seasons, yes, they have, those, kind of, losses that they stumble over in the NCAA tournament every now and again. But which happens to everybody. A lot of teams in the NCAA
That's why we
tournament.
love the NCAA tournament.
Exactly. So, other than that, I mean, pretty consistently they're in the Sweet 16 and beyond. So, I mean, I think you're really going to be bummed, especially with the wealth of talent that they have, if they don't end up in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. And they've, like I said, they've got a lot of talent back. They've got another year under their belt. That insanely good roster has. So I think I think the Boilers are going to be a Sweet 16 team. And I think it's going to be kind of a bummer and a disappointment if they don't make it.
Yeah, well, I agree. This is easily a scorching hot take if they don't make the Sweet 16. I would, a matter of fact, say it's a hot take if they don't make the Elite Eight or even potentially the Final Four. I mean, it's basically for this year for this team, I'm going to say Elite Eight / Final Four or bust, because you're going to lose some of this talent.
Right.
Jaden Ivy, I hate to say it, and if he has a great year, he's bolting for the NBA. I mean, you can't pass up a potential lottery pick to come back and play at Purdue. Nobody would do that, not even for Duke. So yeah,
it's on the Pacers.
He very well could end up. Right now, the Pacers are positioned to be right where Jaden Ivey's kind of projected to go. He would be a great. Well, let's see. He would probably come in and take. Oh, he'd be right where Duarte is, but he could go in where
trade Duarte.
He could go in where Levert or Jeremy Lamb. If he could take Jeremy Lamb's minutes.
Yeah.
Easily. But yeah, it's definitely a hot take. I mean, this is honestly, I mean, the best team that Matt Painter has had in his time at Purdue, probably even better, at least on paper, than the 2010 team that really could have easily been playing for the national championship in Indianapolis had Robbie Hummel not gone down with an injury at the end of the season.
See, I mean, that's what's scary to me. You're saying big Elite Eight, Final Four, and I mean, for as someone who regularly tells me about how like Purdue's, cursed,
but because of the depth of Purdue this year, one injury could be potentially easier to overcome.
Right.
Now, if that injury is to like a Jaden Ivy, it does put a damper on things. But I still think because look, even the year that Robbie Hummel went down with an injury, they still made the Sweet 16 and barely lost to eventual national champion Duke. So
right.
But this team is deeper and much more highly regarded than the rest of that 2010 team was. I mean, Brandon Newman could conceivably slide into Jaden Ivy's starting spot and not miss it. Not play at the same level, but Brandon Newman is a better shooter than Jaden Ivy is. He's just not as good at slashing to the basket as Jaden Ivy is. So, there's Purdue's more in a better position now to absorb a major injury than they were back in 2010. Because basically, when Robbie Hummel goes down, there wasn't too much else behind him at his position to slide in there. I mean, you still need Juwan Moore and Juwan Johnson, but
who was their center they had a couple of years ago that he got hurt before the NCAA
Isaac
tournament?
Haas,
they got him back
round of the NCAA tournament, and Cal State. I think it was Cal State Bakerfield, or was it Bakerfield or Fullerton? I forget. Oh, Fullerton.
Right.
Their center drug him to the floor, and he broke his elbow. And the Purdue engineers got to work and built him a brace that he would be able to play in, and he was playing okay in warm-ups and practice and everything. But the NCAA said, "Oh, sorry, that."
Sorry, no robots. Sorry, we can't allow robots to play it.
Because it wasn't even fully metal or anything like that. It was pretty padded, but it was just not typical of what you would wear as an elbow brace.
Right.
And they probably had Isaac Haas been healthy. That was another team that probably could have made a run to the Final Four. They would have probably beaten Texas Tech just because, Texas Tech would have had zero answer for Isaac Haas.
Right. Well, hopefully you're right. Because this is a Purdue team that just always seems to be in position to make a big run and then just never can, mainly due to injury, just can't seem to get out of their own way in that regard. So hopefully, that's trending in the right direction this season. The Boilers can have a good year.